Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for being here. You have joined my 12 weeks deep dive in transformation program about 2 months ago. So we had 10 sessions together, and it's been an amazing journey. And I love seeing your transformation. Your personal power percentage was around 30% when you first came to me, and he has reached 100% in a very short amount of time. And I think that's really, really amazing. So, I would like you to kind of share with others what was it that you were struggling with before when we started working together, and what made you decide to work with me?
Okay, so I found myself in a very, very difficult time of my life, having been married for 32 years. Just finished buying a house for our retirement in Brazil, which is where my wife's from, and she'd been living in the house for the whole of last year during the pandemic. And when she came back at Christmas time, I was shocked to find out that she'd decided that she wanted to live in the house for herself on her own. And she asked for a divorce, which I was not expecting. And it completely rocked my world. My whole foundations were taken away. My whole future was taken away. Everything I'd been working so hard towards was suddenly, in a very short space of time, gone. And she was here for 72 days. She sold everything she could sell, and then she left. And in December, and I knew I needed to do something for myself to try and find a way forward, find a way through this, to rebuild my future. And as a result of my searches, I came across Ed, and I just knew, having had a nice chat with Edda in the beginning, that this was potentially what I needed. And so I started on the. I decided to do the 12-week deep dive program because I wasn't going to do it at half measures. I knew I was in such a bad way that I needed to take this really seriously and with a really open mind. So that's where I came into this from.
Brilliant. So, what has changed since we worked together?
Well, it was a very thorough process that I found. I recognized, going back into my early childhood and throughout the decades of my life, that I had been dealing with and holding on to lots of deep down things that I just had, I knew about, but they were there, and they were, I think, things I was carrying with me and affecting me. So this process started at the beginning. It went right back, and it addressed those situations and those issues, and we basically worked through them. It was an emotional journey, and we worked through them bit by bit as we went through the process. I started to feel stronger. I started to feel better. Those things were lifted off me, which I hadn't really even been aware that those were some of the problems that I was carrying around with me and were affecting me, and undoubtedly were affecting my relationship with my ex-wife. And so it became a very thorough and therapeutic process that helped me to improve week by week, to the point at which I really recognized quite quickly that with an open mind, this can really, really help somebody that is looking for something, something that is really going to help them as an individual. It's all about you. It's not about anyone else. This is something you do for yourself and for your future. And that's what I needed. And that's why I came into it. And I found it gradually had that effect. And I think having an open mind, coming into it with an open mind, is really important. And that I embraced it full on. I really have. And I've
Yes.
enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, we overcome many repeating patterns, haven't we? Because your work-wise, there were lots of repeating patterns. We did get rid of those. We work on your traumas, we work on your fears, your future. We created an amazing future for yourself. We work on the triggers, we work on values. We sort of, you got new tools and techniques to work with now to create a very good future for yourself. Whatever the life throws at you, you're able to control your thoughts, your emotions. I think that's priceless, isn't it, when you think about it? What
Nice.
else? Let me have a look. We did quite a bit of, we collapsed timeline to heal the past, reprogram the mind. And I think the most important things, we created the amazing future for you, didn't we? Now you're
Yeah.
free. You wanted to have freedom in your life. You wanted to have peace, happiness, love, spirit. And you got those now, don't you?
Yes, I do. Those tools are in place. Those that I have rebuilt a future thanks to you allowing me to take a step back to look at my past, deal with those issues, and then recreate what I thought I'd lost. And I've now recreated what I thought I'd lost. And for me, it's actually better than what I had
Yeah.
originally planned out. So I'm really happy that I've got that. My world was in turmoil because I did not have that future, and I really needed that. And as soon as I was able to put that back together, that transformed everything, and everything started to fall into place. So yes, it's been a really positive journey. It's shifted my life. I've never been a particularly spiritual person. I've been aware of spirituality, but I've never really embraced it at all. I've been too busy focused on providing for the family. Got a wonderful family, 3 grown-up boys. Lived here in England for, married for 32 years, and we've had a wonderful family life. I've just concentrated on being the head of the family. But I realised that when this situation came upon me, that I needed to have recognized that I needed to make a drastic shift in my life. I didn't want my future, hopefully the next 20 years or so, to be the same as my last 30 years. I decided it was time for a shift of direction, and I have approached it in a kind of a holistic way. So I've changed my diet drastically. I'm now doing exercise. I found time for that, which I wasn't doing before. Obviously, with the sessions with Edda as well, it's sort of a mind, body, and soul approach that I've undertaken, and it is a transformation. And I am gradually changing for the better, and that's been really rewarding. And Ed has been wonderful guiding me through.
Amazing. I mean, it is hard losing your best friend suddenly, isn't it? It's not easy. And
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm completely over it either at the moment. We're only in March, and she only left at the end of December, so
yeah,
it's incredibly recent, and I have had real struggles dealing with that, the hurt, the upset, looking into myself, trying to see where I went wrong or if I went wrong. And there's no real blame, to be honest. It was totally unexpected. There's nobody else involved, so those questions were really difficult to answer. And um, and so um, so yes, it's been a in a relatively short space of time, it's been a really drastic um, improvement, which it's plain to see for everybody around me, and my friends, my sons, um, and I recognize it myself as well.
yeah.
So
People
so
notice it.
yes.
I mean, massive transformation. You're much happier now, much content. You're enjoying your life. You're starting taking flying lessons. You're going to become a pilot soon. So you're planning to buy a house near the airport, small airports. You got all of this in place now you didn't have before. So I think
These are all
it's
my
amazing.
Yes, these are all my future plans. This is what I've managed to put back together, which I thought I'd lost, and I've recreated it. And at the moment, thankfully, the universe is helping me get there. Things seem to be falling into place, which is wonderfully reassuring. Um, so for all of that, it has been a major transformation in a really short space of time. And there's lots more to do. But the spring's here now, wonderful sunshine. I've been looking forward to coming out of the dark months of the winter and looking forward to a future, bright and sunny future. And that's where we've got to now at this stage.
Oh, we still haven't finished. We still got 2 more sessions to go. So expect some more miracles. So,
Now let's
what do you like about the deep dive and transformation program?
Well, I find it beneficial because it concentrates on certain areas at each session. It doesn't jump around too much, so you can actually really focus and hone in on specific issues or things that need to be looked at or dealt with or talked about, put right, or just, changed from something that was upsetting into something that you accept and can view the positive side of. So the fact that it was thorough in that way, and it dealt with whatever needed to be dealt with methodically, and from a historical point of view, back from the beginning coming forward, it has been quite powerful as well. And it's been a relaxed, enjoyable experience. Edda's very astute, very switched on. She actually listens very carefully and very cleverly, and she knows, she can retrieve important things from what you're saying and how you're behaving, and she puts that together in a way that these things can be addressed, and very impressed with the way that has been handled. Very professional approach, and for me, it's been really an eye opener. It's opened up a whole new understanding of the mind and everything around us. Because ultimately, it's our life. No one else is going to take care of your life for you.
Okay.
And you do owe it to yourself to look after yourself. And if you do, and you're in a good place yourself, that radiates onto other people, and positive energy definitely attracts positive energy. And if you're really down in the dumps and you're really upset, then there may be other reasons, external reasons, that have had that effect on you, but you can change things around and improve your inner self, your personal self, and get into a better place. And then everything around you will shift gradually from being difficult and potentially negative to being enjoyable and potentially positive.
Changing the perspective is very important, isn't it? And taking people outside of their stories, because sometimes people like to live in their stories, but once we get out of the story, we started looking at our events, our past from a different perspective, and it changes everything, completely changes it, and we take our power back. I think that's very important.
Yes.
Yeah. So if someone comes to you about working with me and they have doubts, what would you recommend them?
Well, it was a big step for me to take this approach, but I knew that as I was on my own, fortunately for me, my boys are grown up and left home; they're self-sufficient. My ex-wife is no longer here, so I am looking after myself, and therefore I have the freedom, the time, and the opportunity to look to myself and invest in myself. And that was what I decided to do. I knew I needed to do something drastic. And I went to some counseling sessions initially, and they didn't help me at all. I just recognized after 3 sessions that this is just a waste of time and money. And it was just simply not addressing what needed to be addressed. It was just a marriage counseling type of appointment that I was going to on my own because my wife didn't want to go. And that helped me realize actually that I need to look into a deeper situation than this. And I started searching for something that was actually going to be able to go back into my past and help me with issues that I had been through. I'd been to boarding school. I think I had issues that were relating to that as a young boy at 7, going off to boarding school. So emotionally, I felt inexperienced in how to deal with the situation I found myself in. And I recognized that I needed to try to address that and heal myself in various ways emotionally, which is something that I've never ever done before. And I needed somebody that was experienced, that knew. And when I came across Edda through searching, I wasn't recommended to her. I just searched around and found her in the end, read the reviews, and then we had a long conversation. And at that point, I was convinced that this was somebody that was at the top of their knowledge and with experience and the different techniques that Edda can draw on. That this was the kind of professional help that I needed, and that's why I took the plunge and decided to invest this time and the cost in myself for once. And it was a big step, but I do not regret it. It has transformed me and my situation from a really difficult place to a really good place.
So how do you feel about your investment then? Is it the best investment, would you say?
I think if you evaluate against monetary terms, what can be more important than your life, how you feel every day, and what the future that you're able to create for yourself can be? So actually, if you really evaluate it in that way, it is the best investment that you can make for yourself. I've bought more expensive things for myself, and then I haven't got them anymore. So
Yeah.
this is actually something for you and forever, and it's for your life, and it has nothing to do with anybody else. So if you evaluate it on that basis, then yes, obviously when we're in difficult times, where we find ourselves in difficult times, of course, financially we're usually under pressure at the same time, because everything tends to come, all the problems tend to come together, don't they?
Yeah.
So that makes it more of a difficult decision to make. But for me, fortunately, I made the right decision, and I'm glad I made it. And yes, I believe it for me, it was the most important decision and investment that I could have made at this time of my life. It's not something I would have needed or would have considered in the past, because I felt that I had a good life. I certainly had an adventurous life and a happy family. But as soon as everything changed and I knew I needed to make a change of direction, then I needed help. And that's where this investment has come in and made that whole present time now and my whole potential future possible. And so this has to be the best investment I could have made at this point of time.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot buy happiness, freedom, inner peace when you think about it, can you? And you got all of that. I think it's, for me, it's priceless. I mean, I will pay anything for that. I mean, I remember myself being in a very similar place, sort of 15 years ago, and I tried all sort of different things, and nothing was working. The only thing was working was the subconscious mind stuff, this stuff that we are doing, because we're changing the old programming, which looking at the values, the limiting beliefs, the triggers. And when we change all of that, our life changes, we change, our thought change, our
Exactly.
emotion change. For me, it's
Exactly.
priceless. It's amazing. So thank you
Yes.
so much. Is there anything else you want to add or share before we say goodbye?
Well, I'd like to thank you very, very, very much from the bottom of my heart, for helping me in this. I feel that it was something that I was guided to this. In fact, I joked with you when we had our very first telephone conversation, when I was in a very low place. My self-esteem was probably down, as you say, at 30%, something like that. But I decided to pick the phone up and call you and just talk to you on that first day, which was at the end of October, I think, or November, and before I started in January. But I remember speaking to you on the phone, and it just felt right at the time. And I actually joked at the time. I said, "Oh, I'm sure, Eddie, I thought you were going to pick the phone up and say, Mark, finally, you finally got around to giving me a call. I was taking you all this time." And it just felt right from the start. So I definitely encourage anybody that's thinking about this to look into it more. Listen to people like me that have been through this. Obviously, it'll help you make your mind up if it's right for you. It's certainly been the right thing for me, and I'd like to thank you so much, Edda, for helping me get through this situation.
Oh,
So
you're more
it's
than welcome. I love working with you. I love seeing your transformation every week. It's just been amazing. Thank
nice. It's
you.
been a wonderful experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well.